And welcome from Ireland, you and Timothy. Right, I'll call for apologies. And I have Robbie and Phil. Anyone else? Anyone, any polls? Right, so I'll move those apologies. Move Councillor Goldsworthy, seconded Councillor Blackie. All those in favour?
Aye.
Yes. Carried. Thank you. Conflicts of interest? Do we have any conflicts to report? There be none. Acknowledgements. I just wanted to acknowledge the sports awards the other night. And congratulations to all of the recipients of the awards. Al attended those awards along with Councillor Redmond, so it was, and Joan. So it was, I had reported back to me a really good night as usual, and all of those people, congratulations for the for winning those awards. Confirmation of minutes. Does anyone have any other acknowledgements to those? Confirmation of minutes 4.1 and 4.2. We've moved for those minutes. Moved Councillor Kings, second Councillor Williams. Anything arising from those minutes by way of corrections? There being none. I'll put those. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Matters arising. Don't have any matters arising. No deputations, presentations, no due business. Reports. 7.1 on Compass FM.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Yes. Yes.
Conflicts of interest. Sorry. I just disclose under 7.1 that I have been attending Compass FM meetings in an advisory capacity, but I'm not a trustee, and I don't believe I have a conflict of interest, but I just want to make that point clear.
We will record that. Thank you. All right, 7.1. So Simon, you're presenting.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor, and to everyone. So the report in front of you I'll largely take as read. You'll recall back in August during a workshop, one of the Compass FM board members, Ron Van Til, came and presented to you looking for some support around the potential relocation of them to another site following the at the end of the lease as to where they are. This report covers a number of potential options that we could look at in terms of the level of support that we provide. The table in section 4 has 5 different levels of support, I would suppose you call them. The recommendation in this report is pitched at option number 2, which is a case management kind of approach to help them find the right outcome, but without any other support provided to them. But there is a range of options in there, and councillors within its rights to direct us to include any of the other options within that table in terms of the level of support we provide. I'm very happy to answer any questions councillors might have, and I leave this in your hands.
Questions, councillors? There appear to be none. Do we have a mover for the report? We have a mover either. Do we have a mover and a second? Moved Councillor Ward. Second Councillor Blackie. Councillor Ward.
Thank you. I think that the Compass FM is a really important part of networking and wellbeing in the district, and they have a very large coverage. And I think that they're very deserving of some help and assistance, and I recommend that the option 2 is a good way forward for us to research some more and see how we can assist or see what comes up. So if you could look into it further, that'd be great. Thanks.
Councillor Blackie.
Yeah, that covers it fairly well. We discussed it quite a lot. Was it a workshop or a presentation in August? One of those when we debated it earlier. And these options are not committing council to any financial expenditure. So happy to support it.
Councillor Minutes.
Yes, I just also wanted to say that I support this motion and us helping them find someplace, but not being involved further than that, because I think it's really important in this day and age that whilst Compass FM provides a really important service to our community, that they stay independent of council or any government, because we know the perception of government together with media, and need to make sure that we keep separation of church and state, as it were, alive and well. But quite happy for us to help them with introducing them to those that may be able to help. I think it's a good way forward, so happy to support this.
Thank you, Ms. Beard.
Thank you. I support the recommendations in the report. I just, I don't support us disposing of the Qualcomm at the present time. If that is a serious option, I know it's just mentioned there. I'd like us to retain those for the time being. Don't know what's around the corner. We've got a lot of. We're not proposing to do any major build on our new build for some time, and when we have capacity-related issues, I think keeping those portacoms there for the time being, I think is sensible. So I just note that it was noted as a footnote as an option, but I certainly would take a lot of persuading that they should be moved on. But I certainly support us using resource by way of advice and local networking to see what options we can to support the trust. They do run on the smell of an oily rag, literally, and rental is a fairly major cost for them. So if there's any assistance that we can help with that by way of just signposting and identifying options, I know that would be very greatly received. They've got very good people on the trust, like Ron Van Til, and a number with great commercial acumen, and they're the sort of things that I know bring a lot of assistance to that. But their finances are fairly light, and so rental is a major part of that. So any assistance we can provide by way of advice, I think would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Councillor Fulton. Very clearly, Councillor Fulton's at the cheaper end of the hotels.
Does he know that he
Can't hear you, Tim. Unfortunately, not coming through.
Tim's asked if he can be unmuted by staff, if possible. He believes he's been muted.
He's not
by the
muted.
system.
tell him to try it?
There we go.
Come sit next to me. Yeah, Tim.
Thank you. It's working now. Yep, it's working. Oh, they haven't had an argument. There we go.
I know how he feels.
It's working now. Try to.
No.
No.
It worked briefly.
Right, I think we might have to leave that and move on. For,
Oh, here it comes.
here it comes. Coming the other side.
Yeah, it's not going to work. Tim, can you speak here, Tim, and speak into my.
This is going to be interesting.
Thank you. Can you hear Tim?
Yep.
They can hear you. Okay.
I support the recommendations. I think it's important that we, for the sake of the station and its independence and its community ethos, that we support and enable them, but we don't take a step that might compromise their perceived independence. They are, after all, they do have a media function as well as community good function. Thank you.
Thank you. Further speakers? Appear to be none. I'll put that. All those in favour?
Aye.
Yes. Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Simon. Matters referred to by the Kaipapa Community Board. Is that being presented by anybody? Kelly. Well,
thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this report, first of all, apologies from Sophie Allen. She's on annual leave this week. So this report is for information on the weed and freshwater mussel dieback in the Kaiapoi and Ruataniwha Cam rivers. This report was prepared on request of the Kaiapoi Community Board due to the high level of interest in this subject. There have been previous dieback of weed beds noted post the Canterbury earthquakes and also in 2017. Following this, Adrian Meredith, who is the Principal Scientist at Environment Canterbury, investigated and in a report in 2018 concluded that salinity intrusion was the primary cause. You'll see on figure 2 on page 43 of the agenda that the salinity data from 2014 shows that there have been a clear increase in salinity levels in the recorded at the Manual Bridge. So the relationship of low flows in the Waimakariri River are believed to be the cause of the greater salinity intrusion into the Lower Cam and Kaiapoi rivers. However, the purpose of recommendation A is to effectively undertake some further work to build certainty regarding this relationship. At the community board meeting, there was an additional recommendation added, which was recommendation D, which was to support more broader work to be undertaken to identify what the cause of the weed dieback and freshwater mussel dieback could be. So that recommendation relates to doing some work to understand the scope, cost and timeframes for potential additional work. So council staff will work with ECAN staff to identify the causes of the ecological dieback within the Lower Cam and Kaiapoi rivers. And we expect that a majority of the recommendations referred to here will be carried out by Environment Canterbury. Just a further update since this report was written. So the wetland or native wetland plant dieback that is shown in figure 1, so that was observed in September this year. So there have been some signs that there is new green growth of that weed. So you'll note in the report that we will be monitoring that and deciding what, if anything needs to be done there. Also not documented in the report is that there has been some reports, observations of weed dieback in the lower Courtney stream that's not referenced in this report, but has been mentioned by members of the community that we're keeping an eye on as well. So happy to take any questions.
thank you, Kelly. Councillor Williams.
Yeah, a couple of things. How many sites have they got for measuring this salt intrusion?
So they have a continuous monitor that has been installed on the Mandible Bridge in Kaiapoi, but they also have a site at the Kaiapoi boat ramp, which is one of their water quality sites, and then 3 sites that measure the water quality upstream coming from the Cuss, the Ahoka and the Silver Stream. My understanding is those are continuously monitored, so they are more discrete samples that are taken.
So does council know why it's called salt intrusion coming from the sea up the Kaipoi and Cam River, why some of the weeds further closer where the most potent where the salt would be is still okay, while upstream where it's less, it's dying back. Have we got do we know what the cause is there? Because
so that would be part of having a closer look at this, and this is beyond my area of expertise, but my understanding at a simple level is that some of the plants that are further towards the coast are more tolerant to the saltwater intrusion, and where we notice the change is, in that area we do get periods of salt and fresh water interacting. So that's the area where we notice aquatic vegetation being put under additional stress.
so it leads on to the next major question. Should we be using an independent person to do these tests because of what's out there in the public of council and e-towns possibly spraying into these areas? How can the public trust it's not an independent report on that rather than...
We've got no reason whatsoever to have any question about either Waimakariri District Council staff or Environment Canterbury staff in this matter. I've got the utmost respect for the Environment Canterbury staff who have been doing testing, and there's no suggestion that there's any cause for you to be concerned about independence. As far as my experience with freshwater quality scientists in Canterbury, I would rate the Environment Canterbury staff against any consultants on the market, so I actually think they've got the best expertise. They are the appropriate people to do that. If they needed any additional expertise, then that they could go to get that. But I believe there's no reason to question the integrity of any of the people involved in assessing this issue. So it hasn't been anything considered that we should use someone independent.
So how can we explain then that lower this weed growing and further up where the weed's dying, and having the salt we have there, and why is it passing? That's a major question that needs to be answered by somebody.
I thought Kelly Simpson answered that adequately. His explanation was, firstly, it's not his area of expertise. He does understand that they could be more salt tolerant, but that should actually be within the scope of what we actually asked the can to investigate. So we don't know the answer to that, and that's why we're not doing further investigation.
There's no way I'm applying our staff edge. Any problems with that side of it, but there's a question maybe we need to report, if we can get it from ETNs, to explain that first before we go too far down the track.
That's what the recommendations Councillor Williams asked for. The recommendations ask for what is extra in the monitoring to be able to come back here with that. That's what it is. Councillor Keynes.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, Kelly and Chair. In terms of the request for modelling, is Environment Canterbury got the funding to do this modelling and they're happy to do this work?
That is going to be part of our discussions over the next few weeks to work out whether the modelling, the additional testing, and the reporting that's required to have a more detailed look at this, not just purely focusing on salinity, but taking a broader view of all of the likely causes of this to get a better understanding. I'm assuming they do have some capacity within their existing budgets and resources to undertake it, but it really depends on the scale and quantum of work we're talking about.
Thank you.
I'm not sure there's a hand up there. Is it the Mayor or Councillor Faulkner? Councillor Faulkner.
Speaking to the Mayor's
can't hear.
Muted.
There we go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Kelly, can you tell me, is there a set of data that currently exists that shows a correlation between low flows and increased salinity? And secondly, can we expect that correlation or an absence of a correlation to become clearer as the data set grows as we do more investigation? So what is the current strength of the data set?
So the work undertaken by Mr. Meredith back in 2017-18, so that report actually presented some time series data that actually showed years of low flow within the Waimakariri catchment, and then also correlating that with salinity levels measured in the Kaiapoi River. So I would probably put it in the category of that a high-level relationship has been identified to date, and definitely the second part of your question, the obtaining more data is actually over time going to build the confidence in that correlation and the belief that the weed dieback is associated with the saltwater intrusion, which is related to the low flows in the Waimakariri River.
Okay. And Mr. Chair, if I may, will the ongoing studies include a sort of impact sort of analysis of the modifications to the river, both previously and say in the last 5 to 10 years, and in whatever form that is, because there is data to show that this river has been we know it's a modified environment over 150 years. So are we going to take that global view as the impacts of human change on this river system?
Yes, that should be within the scope as well. The report in 2018 by Mr. Meredith did refer to some of the changes that happened to both the bed level and also the profile of the Kaiapoi River post-earthquake. One of the limitations was the fact that there's actually limited information on the historical or detailed surveys of the bathymetry of the Kaiapoi River historically. You will probably be aware that the Regional Council has recently completed their survey of the Cam River system from Branleys Road down to the Kaiapoi River. They're also planning on resurveying the Cust River. We've got an open conversation with them about extending that to include survey of the lower Cam as well. So we want to make sure we get good information to be able to assess the geometry and bathymetry of the Kaiapoi River and potentially how that interrelates with the saltwater intrusion. Again, it's not my area of expertise, but I've heard it referenced that the oversized shape of the Kaiapoi River actually makes it more prone to the effects of salt water coming up the channel.
Councillor Goldsworthy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just as a point of clarification, how widespread is this across the country as a whole? Do we know if there are other districts that are having similar problems within their rivers and waterways? Or?
So I can't talk about the whole country, but we are in I'll make sure I get it right, El Nino at the moment. So where is it? It's in the report. So we are more prone to those dry events, warmer currents in the ocean off the east coast. So definitely for the Canterbury region, we have had a drier season, lower flows in all of the rivers across the Canterbury region. I have heard reports of people that have more of a wider role in the Regional Council, not specific to our district, reporting on this being an issue across all of the rivers or a lot of the rivers in the Canterbury district. So what I referred to before, potentially the Kaiapoi River, given that the size of it compared to its base flow the fact that it's oversized compared to its baseline may make it more prone than some of the other rivers in the region.
Councillor Williams.
Last one, in this report, which I think is very, very important, we do some type of report on it. Will the toxicity of chemicals that could possibly be put into the river be included in that report? Just to rule that out, or what have you, will that be part of this report?
Yes, and I think that was the purpose of the additional recommendation added by the community board, was rather than just the modelling to continue looking at the salinity issue, they wanted additional testing or consideration of additional testing in the timeframes to consider all potential options. So yes, the looking at whether it is related to chemical use within the catchment is part of that scope.
Wonderful, thank you.
No further questions. I'm happy to move from the chair. Do I have a second? Second, Councillor Williams. At the community board, it was made very clear that yes, we have Mr. Merrin's report and we've had it for a long time. But the thing that we really want to make clear is this is to be led by Environment Canterbury. This council has led and tried very hard to put money and do things to the Kaiapoi River that arguably are not in their responsibility. It is ECAN's responsibility. This is where we need to be putting the pressure. Hence the reason we want to know more about the river. We want to know from the testing what else is in there. What is it? I mean, it might be 70% salinity. We don't. We know that from the report of down at the bridge. We don't know it from further up the river. The salinity meter is probably half a kilometre, if not more, from where the weed has died off from down the back of the borough school. It's a long way away. Now, we'll say, I'll be pushing up there. Yeah, sure, it will be. Is that the cause of it? Don't know. Because that's the only testing or the only evidence we have in front of us is that it's up there. Well, to my knowledge, it hasn't actually been tested up there. It's been tested down at the Mandeville Bridge, and how much is getting up there? Seems strange to me that inside the floodgates on the Cam River, you've still got weed growing. Yet the same distance up the Kaiapoi River, it's not growing. But the river pushes up exactly the same way and just goes off at a V to both areas. So I want to know what else is there. What are the differences between those two? What is happening in there that's actually making this happen? I mean, I hear about the size of the river and all those sorts of things. It's multi-generations that river hasn't changed. Multi-generations. It was carved out. The only reason the hole was by the Mafeking Bridge is that was carved out for the motorway. They took the dirt from there to make the motorway entrances and the motorway bridges. So that's the last modification. The motorway opened in 1967. This is 2024. So all of a sudden we've got all of these things happening. I actually do agree that I think the LOFOs and the Waimak are a real problem to what's pushing up in there. As a kid growing up on that river, I never saw the tide being pushed up the Kaiapoi River because at the Macintosh's hole, at the mouth of the Kaiapoi River, all it did was go round in circles and back out to sea because there was pressure there. There is no pressure there. So I actually believe that, but I don't believe it is the only thing that is actually happening in that river to turn it into what it's becoming. And I'm talking about probably further up rather than the centre of Kaiapoi. The estuarine level there, I mean, I used to own the boats on the river in the middle of Kaiapoi. Never had to take the weed off the bottom of them because the sail went in the water destroyed them. So it's been there for years, but there are things changing in here that we need to know about. And it was me who actually changed this recommendation here at the community board to try and get further tests to try and see what it is that's the combination or the different aspects that's actually destroying this river. Where are the fish life? I was part of a team that put 1,500 salmon into the river some time ago, and they're gone. Catch a salmon in the Kaiapoi River today, then you are one of the very, very lucky people that can do that. Now, again, is that fishing? Is it salinity? What is it? I mean, they come in from the sea to go up a freshwater river, so, the salt shouldn't worry them too much. But they're not there. They're gone. So why? And so we need to go as far as we can. And I say we, what I mean is ECAN need to. We've spent our money, we've done our bit, and we've done it well. We just need to make sure that the people who are responsible and answerable to this need to be holding the baby and make sure that it happens. Councillor Williams.
Very hard to add anything to that. I'm very happy with this report, but I need to be convinced that some of the sprays and all that aren't causing all this there, and being added into that program to testing all that, that would be really good. But I'd still like to have an answer of why there's weeds in the lower of Kuiper River and not up the top, and it being blamed on salt. So, you know, I'm just sitting there knowing the Kuiper River, and there's some very interesting questions need to be answered. And I don't think salt intrusion is the answer myself. There must be something else to it. So hopefully we'll get something here that I can be convinced of myself when we get a report, and be quite happy of getting the Kuiper River back to how it should be. So, thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Fulcher, thank you.
Tag team.
Yes, it is tag team. I think picking up on colleagues' comments, this is an opportunity or a moment to work closely with ECAN while applying pressure to ECAN to some extent to do what we pay them to do through regional council rates. I have expressed some concerns in ECAN's most recent rate strike that some of their increased funding is not being directed to this sort of directly to this sort of work. I think if we have to pay more money to ECAN, then it should go into this sort of work. And I've also bemoaned at times perhaps our own council's lack of resources for freshwater ecology, particularly in the groundwater area. But in this instance, I think ECAN does have some very good people there. In fact, to personalise it slightly, we need more Adrian Merediths. We need to have these people on the ground. We're working on behalf of our community. So hopefully this report and future increases in funding and resources for ECAN will enable us to do this sort of work and get to the bottom of things. Thank you.
And if I could just add, Mr. Chair, if it's possible, in a second, just come back to me when it's my turn. Thank you.
Councillor Kings.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, staff, for bringing this report to us and asking for Environment Canterbury to do the modelling. I'm concerned from the monitoring of the water quality, from that perspective at least anyway, and from a commercial point of view. This is the jewel of the crown in Kaiapoi. I look at the economic reasons why to make sure that our Kaiapoi River is the best it possibly can be. I look at the differences, say, Paris for the weekend was a little cafe on the street side. When it moved up onto the riverbank, all of a sudden it doubled in business, and probably it's even more than that. And it's all because people can actually see the river. And I look at the number of boats that are actually on that river now. People are actually wanting to come into Kaiapoi. I look at the New Zealand Motorhome Association. They rank Kaiapoi as 3rd or 4th most popular park because its proximity to the river. So the river is extremely important to the district and also to Kaiapoi. And so I congratulate the team to encouraging Environment Canterbury to actually do this modelling and actually ensure that we actually do have high quality water going down through the Kaiapoi River, just from a pure economic point of view. Thank you.
Councillor Mills.
Thank you. Since I've been sitting around this table late 2019, which is not as long as we've been asking these questions, we've been having this conversation, and we still aren't really any further towards an answer because the report that we're asking for hasn't been done yet. There are multiple factors that are contributing to whatever is causing the dieback. We need to know what the actual cause is so that we can then take the appropriate action. So I absolutely support the recommendations here. I will note, however, in recommendation B, it talks about who to circulate it to and named the Rural Drainage Advisory Group. I think that the coastal drainage group needs to be on there because the Ohoga drainage group ends at the confluence of 3 streets, which is Skyway, Ohoga, and Silver Street.
Just for clarity, in the summary agenda, recommendation C has been revised to include all rural drainage.
Sorry, I missed that. Sorry, because I looked at that and went, why is Ohoga in there but not coastal? Okay, no, that's great. Then I'm very happy with this, and hopefully we get the report this time.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor.
I just want to say I support the direction and agree with the sentiments that you expressed, Mr. Deputy Mayor, and you have led in this space for many, many years. I think it is timely. I think it is timely we get a report like this. I would like to know what the drivers are. And I do think it's very important that it is led by Environment Canterbury and that we are working collaboratively as we do in that space. But I'd just like to acknowledge the work that our staff have been putting in particular, as has been mentioned already. But I do think ECAN has the right experts in place, and as Councillor Fulton mentioned, the likes of Adrian Meredith is a very fine individual that has a lot of experience in this area. Let's hope we can get Environment Canterbury to do this work. I will certainly do my best. I know we've got some conversations coming up around this matter further, and I certainly will do my best to add voice to that along with the Deputy Mayor around ensuring ECAN does undertake this work, noting the importance. There has been some growing views in our community. They've certainly been expressed in our local community papers, as we are aware. So it is timely that this work happens, but it's very important that it's led by Environment Canterbury and that we're a collaborative part of it. But the river is in our district, so that's the important part here. It is in our district, and I agree with Councillor Cairns that it's the absolute jewel in our crown. It's a beautiful space. And has so much more potential, as we know, with all the other developments that are being proposed. So answers as to what is the cause and what are the ways to manage this going forward will be really important. I look forward to this work being undertaken, and thank you to the Cook Community Board for their advocacy and work as well.
There's not much of a right reply apart from the fact that, as Kelly rightly said, the expertise lies with ECAN, and that is who we should be using, and that's, as Councillor Cairns has said, and Councillor Fulton, that's what we pay our ECAN rates for. Let's make sure that they actually use them in the right place rather than us doubling up and using our rates for that purpose when it should be what they're doing. So I look forward to the further report, and I think it's got everything in it that we need to, and thank you for the work that's in it. So I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. Item 8.2, request for sealing Riverside Road and Eagles Road. Joanne, is it you?
This report relates to the setting of a targeted rate for Riverside Road and Inglis Road. Council approved sealing in principle of Riverside Road and Inglis Road in December 2023, subject to residents agreeing to top up to the 30% required under the rural seal extension policy. In September this year, Council approves carrying out a special consultative process for setting of a targeted rate to enable property owners to pay their share. There are 22 properties in the rating area. Consultation opened on the 4th of September and closed on the 1st of October. During this time, 14 submissions were recorded, so 16 submissions were recorded, 14 for and 2 against. A hearing was held on the 11th of October. One submitter presented at the hearing. A second submitter was unable to attend but requested that their submission be read. Subsequent to this, I've carried out a review of the submissions for 2 reasons. Firstly, I had a call from a resident who had misplaced their form and asked that their submission be recorded, and they wanted to be able to provide feedback. Also, having reviewed the submissions, I did find 2 errors in the information summary. One was a response that had been entered twice into our online tool, and the second was one property where we had the entry added online and also mailed in, so it had been double counted. So due to this, I reviewed all of the submissions and followed up with the properties where we had no responses. We now have responses from 20 of the 22 properties. 15 of these supported sealing, 4 were opposed, 1 had mixed thoughts, and 2 I have still not received a response. Of those 2 no responses, 1 had previously noted they did not agree with sealing, and the other has not responded at any stage through the process. So in terms of compared with the summary information that was provided to the hearing panel, there was no substantive change to the summary. The hearings panel recommendation from the hearing was that option 1 of the report be taken forward, which was to include the targeted rate in the 25-26 annual plan. And that recommendation also notes that the option of a targeted rate or paying a lump sum will still be available for the residents. The targeted rate is assumed a 20-year period based on a tender which has been received by, work which has been tendered, and that is a report council will consider later in this agenda. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Joanne. Questions? Councillor Williams?
Just 2 questions. Are there any future development contributions could be coming from that area later on to help with this?
So with setting the targeted rate, we have looked at all properties that have access or could have access onto that section of Riverside Road and Inglis Road. There is one large property on the western side of Riverside Road, which could be further subdivided or developed in the future, with including that property within the targeted rate. If that property was to subdivide within the 20-year period of the targeted rate, then the rate would be recalculated, and depending on the number of new lots, they would be added into the rating area. So if you like, that splits the cost up further, so there is that mechanism.
Yeah. And with other situations, we've done this before on percentages of fors and against. At the moment, approximately 1/3 of people are against it. How does that stack up with the percentages of other roads we've done? You know, is 80% been in favour before, or?
So I can only talk to the previous one that I have been involved in. That was a slightly different situation where all residents, a group of residents came to council and they all wanted it done, so they had elected to do that themselves. So I'm afraid I can't comment beyond that.
Thank you.
The Dublin duo, which one is?
There you go. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Joanne, I note that there's 22 residents in the potential targeted rating area. I don't know whether that's higher than usual for an area of this land size. But are there any particular challenges in applying a targeted rate, say, over a 20-year period for that number of residents, particularly if they're small lifestyle block holders? People come and go quite quickly in the lifestyle world sometimes. So just the mechanism, How does it work when you've got that number of people, and you could have more over time?
It's not unusual. We have applied a targeted rate down to as low as 6 properties. I believe was we had the request in about 2019 for Browns Road, Northview Road. So there have been smaller areas than that. As long as the area is ring fenced and we, I guess, follow our special consultative process to ensure that we're providing the information out to those in the targeted area and that we're giving them the ability to respond. If the property does sell, that will be something that is on their rates that they, I guess, need to be aware of when they're purchasing a property.
Thank you. No further
So
questions.
one that
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Councillor Ford. Carry on.
Sorry, so one, just to pick up your last comment, Joanne, so there should be no surprises for any new landowners. That mechanism is there. That's something to be aware of. But also, does I think Councillor Williams touched on it. Will the cost per unit that could decrease over time if there's further subdivision or there's a greater number of people come into the area, affected by that rate? So the efficiency or cost of it could decline over time per unit holder, per property owner.
Yeah, I can answer that. So basically, the targeted rate is shown on the rate statement invoice as being a separate line item, so it's quite clear what the rate's being for. If there's a subdivision, it's recalculated, and that rate that's remaining, the cost is actually spread across the new rate owners in that designated area.
Thank you. Councillor Ward is moving. Seconder, Councillor Keynes. Councillor Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was part of the hearing group that listened to the submissions on this. I think it's really urgent that we get underway with this really quickly. The dust issues is a health hazard in this area. Lots of heavy trucks using more on that road now, and some of the properties are really quite close to the road, and they can't even go outside because of the dust issues. They can't enjoy the outdoors like we can. So I really feel that this option 1 is a good solution. It's a very reasonable solution, and it will assist. And I really believe we should do it as soon as possible. I think that the project is ready to go, and I think we should get underway with it so that they can actually enjoy part of the summer with clean air. And so I would really thoroughly recommend that you all approve of this so that the health and well-being of those people are going to be better very soon. So option 1 is really what I would recommend. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ward. Councillor Keynes.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Firstly, thank you to Councillor Ward and also Councillor Goldsworthy for being part of the hearings panel, and also to the staff in terms of the amount of work led by Joanne with the amount of work that they actually did in terms of trying to connect with the affected residents in regards to conducting, whether or not these residents actually wanted to have the road sealed. I also want to congratulate Joanne for conducting the review of the analysis or the data that was collected, and then coming back with an honest review to say that there were a couple of mistakes made. So congratulations for you to do that. In terms of the hearing, it was interesting to get only one person, one resident to come forward to actually talk to us. But she gave us some real context in terms of why she chose, or why this road needs to be sealed. And that is the dust is a real inhibitor to actually a lovely, healthy lifestyle living out in the country, where currently at the moment the whole place is actually covered with dust during the summer. It's actually a horrible situation to live in, and also it's a real danger. She talked about a situation where her daughter was dropped off by the bus. It left such a large trail of dust, the daughter tried to cross the road and was almost hit by another vehicle because of this dust cloud. So this is the reason why we are suggesting, or I'm certainly wanting us to recommend that we go with option 1, get the road sealed. And also, when you look at the democratic process, 22 residents and 15 are in favour. So yes, the majority rules. If you can vote in favour of this, we would be happy with that. Thank you.
Councillor Williams.
Yeah, I'm sort of sitting on the fence on this one at the moment because I'm a wee bit concerned. 1/3 of people don't want it, 2/3 want it. I can completely understand the 2/3 of the people wanting it, if not all of them wanting it, but I don't know the financial situation of those 1/3 of people that don't want it, because there are people out there hurting now with their rates billed, and I don't know their situation, so it's very awkward for me to go and dictate basically them saying you're going to have to pay for this road sealing when they may be struggling in their finances. You know, and a lot of people won't put their hand up and saying, I don't want this sealed because of a reason like that. So I'm sort of on the fence. So I can see the good things and I can also see the bad things. And in today's economic climate, I'm just concerned for the reasons why the 1/3 of the people that don't want it, that's all. So, yeah, I'm concerned about that.
Mr. Mayor.
Just a question. In the in the summary agenda, talks of the recommendation that it's to go in the draft annual plan as detailed statement of proposal. So, am I understanding that the sealing will not be undertaken before the consultation of the annual plan, or is it? Am I misunderstanding that in the proposal, or is it just as it reads? So it might answer Councillor Williams' question, because everyone will have an opportunity to submit on that. Can I please have that clarified?
So is there a further report that Council will consider under public excluded for the award of a tender for sealing of the road? With that tender, if that is not accepted, then it would potentially change the targeted rate. If that tender is accepted, then the sealing could commence very quickly, and we've sought legal opinion on that, and there is the ability to carry on and do the work.
Well then, can I suggest that why are we approving 8.2 if we're going to be considering a report PX that might contradict that, because we would then be going out in the draft annual plan with a statement of proposal? I'm just asking that question because to me that seems a roundabout way.
I suggest deferring it, leaving it on the table until the other reports considered.
Thank you.
Can I just try and quantify the response to the clarification? At the hearing, it was it was viewed for us that the draft annual plan 25-26, the job could be done now, but they would be rated in 25-26. That was our understanding at the hearing, so they could get underway. We approved to get it done, get underway, but they would be rated in 25-20, starting in the 1st of July 1925 for $193.71 per year if they pay excluding GST,
okay,
or $2,498 bulk.
We've got a bit of a dilemma. We've got a very good contract price that we've gone out for tender. We've done a consultation process which effectively would be the same as the annual plan, which gives the legal opinion is it gives you the right to actually go ahead with the works. The reason for leaving it until the drafting of the plan and consulting is that it rises off a technical point that the council cannot rate for that work unless it's actually been consulted through its annual plan process, and you only have one chance to set a rate. It's a The Rating Act is antiquated, it's very old, it probably needs a review, it's over 22 years of age now. So basically we're hamstrung with time frames, and so therefore legally we can apply, but we can't set a rate until next year. So if we wait until next year, then the cost to sell it, the way contract prices are going at the moment, it's probably more riskier that you'll get a higher price than what you will at the moment. We've seen pricing move about 40% in the last 3 years, whether it's stopping, slowing down, it looks like it is, but I suggest you'll get a higher price. So the loan will put the price up for those residents for their rates.
I think I'll move from the chair that we lie the matter on the table until after we've had the public excluded discussion. Do I have a second? Councillor Goldsworthy, all those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you.
Just for clarification, Mr. Chair, does that mean that we can, with public excluded, we can, if we approve of option 1 at public excluded, we can get underway?
Or make that decision when we're in public excluded, whether that's right or
So
not.
we can
because
make
that
a
will be
decision
related
then.
through to the contract price, and we have what the legal opinion is there and
Thank you very
those
much.
things. So, all right. Item 9.1, health and safety. Jeff.
Yes, this report is for the period for October. 9 new incidences are listed in there, and I'll take notes the report has been.
Thank you. Any questions? Question, Councillor.
Yeah, question for Jeff. The Pegasus Ridge incident, progress on that, and why was that not reported to Tika Haka? I heard about it on the grapevine that Tika Haka wasn't advised that this had happened, or that the police had been involved. We knew the roading team had withdrawn and refused to go back. Shouldn't the trust have been informed that this had happened?
I'm not fully aware of all the circumstances for this one, so I can't update you on that, but we'll put that into the learnings to make sure that doesn't happen again if that was the case.
Thank you.
Councillor Means.
Just another question about that. I'm not sure if it was us and should be in here or not, but what was the story behind the Flaxen Road hedge fire? And
That's still under investigation by FEMS to understand what the cause of the fire is. So we can't really comment any further until that comes out. Speculation. So once again, we'll have to wait till the full investigation is completed. I should advise that there's probably one further incident at the airport where that will be reported in the following report for November. That was done last Friday. That incident falls under the jurisdiction of the City Aviation Authority, so that will be also included in the report.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Blakey, second Councillor Williams, all those in favour?
No.
Against? Carried. Thank you. Item 10.1 and 10.2, these are minutes for information. Do I have a mover? Councillor Williams, second Councillor Mealings. Any questions, clarity? Yeah. None. I'll put that, all those in favour. Against? Carried. Thank you. Item 11.1 to 11.3, information from the community boards. Do I have a mover? I have a mover, Councillor Williams, second Councillor Cairns. Any clarifications needed there, or any reports from the community board members that need to report back? Appear to be none. I'll put that, all those in favour. Against? Carried. Thank you. Portfolio updates. Climate change. Councillor Williams.
Thank you. Just, I suppose, a few events really to highlight. So the Youth Council and ECAN together hosted another successful river cleanup at the Ashley River on the 20th of October, and we moved just under 300 kilograms, which doesn't seem like a lot, which is actually a really great thing because there wasn't a lot to move except for one tricky mattress, which took us a few of us to remove out of the water. But it was really good to see the groups that worked together on that. That included the likes of the Four-Wheel Drive Club and Ashley River River Care Group, and keep Regular Beautiful and Training Club and whatnot. So it was really cool to see a large variety of people who one might think might be at odds with one another working together on a common goal, which is fantastic. The EnviroSchools celebration will be held on the 20th of November in town, and we've got 4 or 5 schools participating in that. West Ayrton, Dover, North Lothian, and Reindeer High School to receive award certificates, which, sorry Dan that you're away, but I'm not sorry because that means I get to have the honor of handing those to the school representatives at the ceremony, so love to celebrate young people doing awesome things. Our libraries are celebrating spring with sustainability workshops across the district libraries this week, with one in Oxford on Wednesday between 3:30 and 4:30, and then Kayapoi on Thursday and Randura on Friday, both of those between 5:30 and 6:30. And those workshops are going to cover tips and tricks on how to grow fruit and veggies and how to save seeds and raise plants from seeds, as well as a seed and plant swap and other activities like how to make your own recycled containers, probably from newspapers and seed envelopes, and it's free and all ages are welcome, so go along to that. And if you got extra plants like I do in my glass house, bring those too. If you can't figure out where you're going to plant those, give me some else. And also, you might have seen the article, colleagues, in the Inside Government magazine about the 19 councils across New Zealand collaborating on an emissions reporting pilot program. So we are actually one of those councils working together on that, and that pilot is aimed to reduce the cost of reporting through economies of scale and information sharing, which is always a good thing, and create a consistent view of emissions profiles and projections across cities, districts, regions, by standardizing methods of measurement so everyone is comparing apples to apples rather than the ad hoc, everybody doing something different situation we have at the moment. And that will in turn give clarity to support corresponding actions needed and will align with New Zealand's first emissions reduction plan, which emphasizes local government's crucial role in achieving New Zealand emissions reduction targets. So that can only be a good thing, get everyone on the same page. And also in October, we have had bird counts carried out in the Waimakariri district's natural reserves, with over 200 individual 5-minute bird counts completed, which are going to be analyzed over the next month, and the next one of those counts will be done in February. And those just give us a snapshot of the health of the ecosystems and can also help track pest trapping effectiveness and just other things going on in those environments to see where the bird numbers and species are tracking. So that'll be a really interesting study to look back on when we get a bit more data behind it. So, and it's actually quite fun to get out there and do it yourself too. And one last thing, the Biodiversity Volunteer Celebration is to be held this Sunday, the 10th of November at Trusula Park in Kaiapoi, to recognize the efforts of all those people and groups that make Waimakariri a better place to be by planting, trapping, meeting, raising awareness, whatever it is that you do out there. And that's also an opportunity for groups to showcase what they do. So if anyone's looking for a new volunteer opportunity, there will be plenty to choose from. So go along to that.
Thank you, Councillor Menders. Question, Councillor Keynes.
What time is the Truslow Park event kicking off, please?
11 till 1, 11 till 2.
And do people actually have to apply to have a stand at this or whatever, or you just rock up? Is that how it works?
If you want to stand, it's better to get in touch with X.
Like
Sophie, okay. Sophie.
Yeah.
Green space anyway.
Yeah, it's Green Space is running it. The correspondence I got is from X.
Right.
Congratulations too from Jason from the libraries team in terms of getting the seeds project in the libraries, and he's involved a whole pile of community groups. Well done to Jason. Thank you.
Right, thank you. International relations, there they are sitting on the television screen front of you. I've no doubt at the next meeting there will be a full report on international relations and how they've got on over there, depending on how much Guinness there is left in the country. What else have we got? Property and housing, we've got a meeting coming up next month. We didn't have one this month, so next month we'll be doing that. All right. I have no questions, understanding orders, no general business, so we will now move into public excluded. Moved Councillor Blackie, seconded Councillor Ward. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you.